This just in. We now have reports that the UK has looked into getting a divorce with the EU. In 1973, the United Kingdom and the European Community got engaged and began living together. In 1991, the European Community changed its name to the European Union, as well as marrying the UK and signing a prenup called the Maastricht Treaty, making Mother England the 9th wife in the EU's polygamist marriage. The Maastricht Treaty had 3 pillars: economic matters, judicial affairs, and common foreign policy. This polygamist marriage has now expanded to include a total of 28 wives. Many of the original wives were against allowing the UK into their marriage, as their close relationship with the US could be more than just a fling. Many English citizens are unable to work past some marital squabbles and think it is time to divorce the EU.
As the third largest financial contributor to the EU, the UK does not reap a lot of funding benefits. The part of the UK that receives the most funding is Wales, but the UK gives far more money to the EU than it receives. If any laws in an EU member state are contrary to those of the EU's laws overrule its member states, which has caused the UK to change some laws. The UK cannot make laws that are contrary to the EU without obtaining permission from all other wives. The UK does not have a constitution and operates under the assumption that everything that is not forbidden is allowed, but the EU has a contradictory mentality, that everything that is not allowed is therefore forbidden.
There are still many British citizens who remain loyal to the EU. After all, being married to the EU has its benefits, such as having access to the largest single market economy in the world. The UK is able to trade with all of the other wives without having to pay tariffs, and because of this single market, member states trade with each other twice as much as they used to before the EU's formation. 3.5 million British jobs are linked to trade with other EU nations. Foreign companies like to invest and be headquartered in the UK, so they can be connected to the single market economy. United, the EU is stronger, and the UK as a member state is stronger in the realm of foreign affairs, as they are not one single country, but rather the whole EU, making it easier to impose boycotts and sanctions. Citizens of EU member states can live in, work in, or visit any other EU nation without needing a visa, as long as it is under 3 months. The EU also sets environmental, food, health, and human rights regulations that must be valid in every member state, which acts as an extra level of protection for citizens. EU members have joint police forces that will work together to catch criminals, which makes it much easier to extradite them.
If the UK were to divorce the EU, 2 million British citizens who are working abroad would become illegal immigrants. Since the EU legislation trumps the UK legislation, it is hard to tell what parts of laws should be kept, and this will, in the future, cause some legal chaos. Leaving the EU will upset their neighbors, which will put a strain on economic and foreign relations. The Conservative Party has promised that if they win the upcoming 2015 parliamentary elections, that they will hold an in-out referendum to let the citizens of the UK decide if they want to divorce the EU or stay together and work things out and maybe attend marital counseling.